Hello again and welcome to Pirate Videos as we continue the story of the 2003 Pirates. Well, at the beginning of the year we said it was likely to be a memorable year, and what a memorable year it's turning out to be. Pirates have finished all of their Elite League home fixtures and now it's time to concentrate on the British League Cup as we continue the story of the 2003 Pirates. Yes, and what a season it's been so far. We've seen the Pirates battling even when they've been at full strength, and they've now managed to pull themselves on top of that Elite League table, and we hope that when the curtain comes down they will be in pole position. But of course it doesn't end there. Oh no, they will have to go through the playoffs if they are to be crowned the British League champions at the end of the season. Well, it has been tough. It's been tough this week for the Pirates, who have been on the road. They went to Ipswich and gained an invaluable win with just one rider in the side, Lee Adams. The rest made up of guest riders and rider replacement. And then, following that on Monday, they went to Bellevue, where unfortunately they were narrowly defeated, losing the bonus point in the process, which meant that they still have to work to make sure of that pole position at the end of the season. Well, now we can turn our attention to the British League Cup. The riders themselves, well, they have been in the wars. All bar Lee Adams has been out on the injured list.
Yeah, I know, it's a strange season, isn't it? We had so many injuries this season with not just the Pirates. There's so many teams have been struck down with injuries, and you know, just can't sort of seem to put our finger on what it is. But it's a bit of a worry, really. I think, you know, maybe some of the safety standards need to be looked at a little bit, or I just don't know. If you could put my finger on it, I'll be a magician. But I just really don't know at this moment in time.
Well, thankfully now the riders will get a little respite from the rigours of the Elite League racing. And tonight, as the Pirates go into battle with Exeter in the British League Cup, it heralds the return of two riders, Lukas DRYML and Bjarne PEDERSEN.
Yeah, that's right. It's nice to see Bjarne and Lukas back in the team. Bjarne had a ride out at Bellevue last Monday and rode very well, you know, making some great starts and looked back to his old self, in fact better than his old self, shall we say. And obviously Lukas, from that, you know, horrific accident he had in the Grand Prix, he's coming back tonight, so yeah, been interested to see how they go. It's a good meeting for them tonight because although it's important to win, they can sort of, you know, just get their feet back again.
And you've got a new boy in the side as well we're having a look at?
Yeah, Antonio from Sweden. Yeah, he's very well known in Sweden. Rides with Tony and Lee at Masana. He's been over here with the under-21, so he's had a few rides on some English tracks. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see him.
Feel me okay, you know, not 100%, but feel okay for racing. So hope I can do a good job tonight.
You did a very good job on Monday night. We saw you at Bellevue. You were making the starts. How did you feel there?
Yeah, you know, I feel really good after, you know, first time I was back and, you know, make 5 good gates. So that was nice, and you know, I feel me good for the moment. You know, maybe a little better than before I crashed actually, but so hope I can keep it up now.
Well, the man feels good. Is the bike up to it now?
Yeah, you know, we still do some different Indians and work with it. So we try, and hopefully it's be okay.
I'm feeling okay, and I've been racing yesterday for the first time, and I had a quite good score, I think, and I'm looking forward today. I hope it will work well for me again, and that it will be same as it was before my little break, and I think everything will be okay.
Well, I think we all feared the worst when we saw you go down. I gather you can remember very little about it.
nothing really. I don't remember anything, which is probably better than remember bad things, you know. Everything is forgotten. I just looking forward and, well, looking ahead and trying my best again.
Great to have you back.
Thank you.
Well, as Neil mentioned earlier on, in the shop window very much, Antonio Lindback. Welcome to Poole, and I understand that Poole are going to be having a look at you as you're over anyway for Lee Adams' testimonial.
Yeah, I do, and I was happy to hear they want me to come to this competition, so I do my best today.
Now, you know Lee Adams very well, obviously, and I believe that he's loaned you his bike this evening.
Yeah, I do, and I hope I don't broke it.
I'm sure we all hope that too. On a serious note, is England somewhere where you would like to come and race regularly?
Yeah, I have in mind I come here to next year, and I hope to be that way.
I think we were talking to you probably a little bit before, but you've been quite stubborn about staying in Sweden for the time being.
Yeah, but sometime anyway, I must come to England sometime.
It's a development thing.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, well, we wish you the best of luck tonight, and we hope that we see you in good action, and we see you again here at Poole.
Maybe.
Thank you. Well, the Falcons come here tonight, having not raced here as a team for over 8 years. How will their riders weigh up the Wimborne Road circuit?
Well, personally, I rode here a few times back in '99 for the Pirates, and I know a few of the older chaps rode here back when there was one big league. It's a fairly fair sort of track. It's you know, big enough, wide enough. It's not a very, very tricky one. So to go around it very well, maybe it would take some practice, but I think just to get around isn't so hard, but to get around and score a lot of points may be harder.
Very different to the county ground, though.
A lot different, yeah, but then most places are. That's a lot bigger, a lot more narrow on the straights, obviously quite a lot of banking, and it tends to be very, very deep, where I've looked there tonight, it seems to be quite slick at this end, a little more grippy at the bottom end, but still not quite as grippy as Exeter is traditionally.
Yeah, this is very different from the county ground. It's very small compared to Exeter, and Exeter's normally quite grippy. I think this one's got a little bit of grip on it today, but nothing too much. And obviously you've got the world champion riding here, and we haven't, so it should be a good meeting, hopefully, you know. I haven't ridden here since 1995, so it's all a bit new now.
Well, the Falcons, of course, haven't been to Poole as a team for a long time. Tonight, British League Cup, and unfortunately missing Michael Coles. So that obviously is going to be a big dent for you.
Yeah, that's right. Losing Michael was a very big blow for us, really, because he's, you know, he's very good home and away. And to be honest, the team hasn't really fired together in the same meeting all year, and that is a big thing in Speedway. If everybody is riding together and they all pick up 6s and 7s, you're going to win matches. But we've been losing a few matches because we're not. One person's getting 15 and the other ones are getting 5. So it's not been very good for us this year as a team, but hopefully it'll pick up and we can put on a good show tonight.
The Premier League obviously is a very busy season for all you riders. Is it nice to actually take a week off or so? Not a week off, but to put your focus into the British League Cup?
Well, I mean, it's just another meeting for us, to be honest. You know, me personally, I just go there as another meeting, you know, just got to get on with the job. It is nice, but, you know, when you come to tracks that you haven't ridden for a long time and you're up against like some of the world's best like you got here tonight, it's going to be very hard for us.
Well, Poole remain unbeaten in the British League Cup so far. Can they hold on to that unbeaten record and keep it unblemished tonight? Well, to find out, let's go and join Graham and catch up with the racing.
So thank you, Nigel. It's Heat 1 of this British League Cup fixture. We've got Craig Boyce and Tony Primmer for Poole in red and blue off 1 and 3. Roger Lobb and Scott Smith for Exeter on 2 and 4. And off they go with Craig Boyce immediately leading into the first bend. And Exeter filling in the minor positions with Roger Lobb in the green helmet and Scott Smith in yellow. Tony Primmer bringing up the rear, but we know that his prowess is from the back, which he immediately shows at the end of lap 1 there, passing Scott Smith in fine style, and the Pirates now looking good for a 4-2 heat victory. It's Craig Boyce having one of his rare outings at Wimborne Road, much travelled this season. He's had a British League Cup encounter, but he's also been in Elite League action, first of all for Oxford, and more recently signed for Ipswich. So hasn't seen as much of his home base as he otherwise would have probably done so, but nevertheless he's seen enough of the track to know exactly how to ride it, and he's leading by some 40 metres with the checkered flag blooming up. There it goes. Craig Boyce, skipper for the night, gets underway with a winning race. Second then Roger Lobb for Exeter, and third, closing in at the end of the 4 laps, was Tony Primmer. 4-2 in favour of the Pirates. Well, on to Heat 2, and a heat that certainly the local Pirates fans have been looking forward to. The debut of Antonio Lindback, the Swedish sensation, and star of the Swedish under-21 team's 3-match series in Britain recently. And he's having a trial whilst he's over here for the Lee Adams testimonial. He's paired with Danny Warwick, local lad, riding number 7 for Poole this evening. And the Exeter duo in this one, in the green helmet, Krister MARSH on a grid number 1. Currently riding with a 6.15 average. And number 7 this evening for Exeter, Karl MASON in the yellow helmet. He normally rides for Conference League Newport. Off goes Antonio Lindback with a very, very impressive start to heat number 2. An equally good first bend by Danny Warwick, with Poole looking for a 5-1, and no sooner got the words out, and Danny Warwick, after a lovely first bend, takes a little bit of a tumble. That's a shame, but very encouraging sign for Poole is the form of Antonio Lindback, riding on a Lee Adams machine there, almost copying the Lee Adams style around the bend, as the bike seemed to have taken on a life of its own. Lap to go, this young Swede, Brazilian originally, and in his adopted country of Sweden, rides for the Masala team alongside Lee Adams and Tony Rickardson. What a pedigree he has there to follow, and takes the checkered back. His first ever outing at Poole then. Antonio Lindback makes it a winning start, and the Pirates take a drawn race in heat number 2, making the progressive total 7 now to Poole and 5 to the Falcons. So another eagerly awaited race here in heat 3 for a slightly different reason than the debut of Antonio Lindback. This time it's welcome back after 17 days on from that horrific GP accident for Lukas DRYML. Excellent to see him back in the saddle so soon after what was such a horrific looking crash, and he takes his place in the red helmet here for the Pirates in grid 3. His young partner stepping in at short notice to take the place of Krister MARSH, who's still in Poland having treatment for a minor operation there. Simon Walker, young Swindon Robin Conference League rider. And the pairing for Exeter, Seemond STEPHENS and Lee Smithills. Up they go, and immediately it's Lukas DRYML taking up more or less where he left off, with a superb start, and leads comfortably out of the first bend. And what might seemingly be a pattern here this evening, Exeter looking to fill in the minor places with Simmonds STEPHENS in the green helmet, and Lee Smithills, formerly Workington rider in the Premier League. He fills in for third place in the yellow helmet, and just taking his first ride on the track, perhaps somewhat cautious at the back, Simon Walker. So another drawn race very much in prospect, and Lukas DRYML, just as if he'd never been away and never been in that hospital in such a serious condition. His father, Alice Senior, was explaining that he thought that perhaps Lukas owed his life to the quality of the helmet that he was wearing. It certainly was a horrific injury, but gladly he's back here in winning action at Poole, and with that win in Heat 3, it takes the scoreline on to the Pirates 10 points, the Falcons 8. So Heat 4, also making a return to the track after an absence of 4 weeks. Another Pirates returnee from injury, Bjarne PEDERSEN. He's had a couple of matches, including an away match at Bellevue a couple of days ago. He comes out in red helmet here with Danny Warwick in blue on grid 1. And for Exeter, it's the pairing of Mark Simmonds and Karl MASON. So with just 2 points between them. Bjarne PEDERSEN was certainly on very, very sharp gating form at Bellevue a couple of days ago, and it looks as if he's carried on where he left off there, with a comfortable lead from was going to be Danny Warwick, his partner, but certainly coming through in green there to second place Mark Simmonds, and Danny Warwick certainly having trouble with bends 3 and 4. Seems to be okay on 1 and 2, and but struggling on 3 and 4. Well, I thought he was, but he's decided he's going to take a chance and go right round his opponent Karl MASON, which he does do, and just at that very moment he goes into second place because Exeter's Mark Simmonds suffers that engine failure there, and the red flags are showing because he sees his engine on the track. In fact, looks as if he's suffered from some sort of arm injury. I'm not quite sure what happened there. We'll have to possibly see on the replay, but the bike coming to a stand on turn 1, and
so there we go. I think the race stopped in the interest of safety.
My attention was certainly drawn to Bjarne PEDERSEN out front and to the heroics of Danny Warwick. Possibly a chain there being speculated, but quite what the reason for that stoppage was, not sure. We'll have to wait and see how the referee reads it. So on to Heat 5, and we've already had one minor sort of problem for the Pirates insofar as Lukas DRYML has been excluded under the 2-minute time allowance. Not really sure whether he actually knew he was in the race, but whatever the reason, he will be taking no part, and Neil Middleditch swiftly moves to get Antonio Lindback in to take his place. So the pairing for Poole, Simon Walker and Antonio Lindback. And the pairing for Exeter, Roger Lobb and Scott Smith. And the scoreline is 15-9 because where we left off after Heat 4, the referee in fact awarded the race. It looked very much as if Mark Simmonds seized up, possibly a chain at the back. And so that 5-1 puts the Pirates 6 ahead by 15 points to 9. And as the tapes rise on Heat 5, once again we see Antonio Lindback, courtesy of that super quick Lee Adams bike, immediately move into the lead, and he does look comfortable on this track, and already a significant lead over Roger Lobb and Scott Smith. So I'm quite certain that Matt and Mike will be rubbing their hands in anticipation. I don't know how much scope there'll be for any further involvement of this young Swedish sensation for the remainder of the season, and there's been all sorts of speculation, I know, on the website, but it's what happens around the promoter's desk that really matters, and it'll be intriguing to catch up with their thoughts about how they're going to face the rest of the season. Here we see positive example with that massive lead by Antonio Lindback, taking the checkered flag, almost a quarter of a lap ahead there. Roger Lobb in second place, no mean performer in the Premier League, rides with some gusto in that competition. Scott Smith finishing in third place, and with fourth to Simon Walker, another drawn race, keeps the Pirates 6 points ahead by 18 points to 12. Well, we're on to race number 6 now, and out comes the skipper again, Boyce, Craig Boyce in the red helmet from grid 3, and his partner Tony Primmer making it an all-Aussie Pirates pairing, and Tony is on grid 1. For the Falcons, Mark Simmonds and Krister MARSH. Mark Simmonds suffered a chain problem in his opening race, and he's there now in the green helmet, passes Tony Primmer to move into second place. Nice pass that was by Mark, and Tony Primmer tucked in to third place, where the Pirates would like him to stay, and Krister MARSH for Exeter right at the back. A little more bunched up this time, certainly for minor places, but once again Craig Boyce showing his familiarity with the Wimborne Road track and comfortably out in front. Well, Pirates on for a 4-2, which would stretch their lead to 8 points. The team's reasonably well balanced. Poole certainly well ahead of Exeter in the heat leader department, but Exeter pack a very solid team. Not a huge difference between top and bottom in their team lineup tonight, so it could make for an intriguing battle as the competition progresses. But this time it's the Pirates who take a heat win, with Boyce first across the line, and that 4-2 heat win moves the scoreline to the Pirates 22 points and Exeter 14. So on to heat 7, and with the scoreline 22-14, it's Bjarne PEDERSEN coming out for his second race. Wasn't too happy with the way his bike was performing in heat 4, although he won the race. He felt it was misfiring badly. The suggestion in the pits, perhaps a plug problem, and that's received some attention. It'll be interesting to see whether that's done the trick. He comes out in race 7 paired with the so far unbeaten Antonio Lindback, 2 rides, 2 wins. And let's see how he fares from grid 4 in the blue helmet. He's got opposition from Seemond STEPHENS and Lee Smithills. So perhaps it'll be interesting to see how Antonio will go in any race where he doesn't actually make the gate. Interesting to see what his track craft and overtaking prowess might be. But once again, the tapes go up, and he does make a superb gate from 4. In fact, it's Bjarne PEDERSEN who doesn't get the jump. And in the green helmet, Seemond STEPHENS makes the jump on Bjarne and holds second place. But Bjarne taking the outside of the track and looking to see if he can find a way around. And indeed, that bike is definitely not performing. Bjarne PEDERSEN seriously underpowered here, having trouble making the bike turn the corners, and he's just going to cling on for 3rd place. So whatever attention Bjarne's bike got after the Heat 4 win is going to have to be re-examined this time, because he's just about going to hold on to 3rd place. Somebody who is definitely not struggling, out in front, Antonio Lindback, who is making his debut for the Pirates this evening, is going to create an absolutely sensational impact with the Wimborne Road crowd. Once again, they're ecstatically acclaiming that heat win by the young Swedish sensation, and he wins the race for the Pirates. Second for the Falcons was rider in green, Seemond STEPHENS, and in 3rd place with that very sick bike, Bjarne PEDERSEN. 4-2 to Poole, 26-16 the scoreline. Well, we're on to heat 9, and the Falcons hit back with a 5-1 in heat 8. With a double tactical substitute of Mark Simmonds and Seemond STEPHENS, comfortably ahead of Tony Primmer and Danny Warwick for Poole, so it's only 6 points between them. 27 now to Poole and 21 to Exeter. This time it's Neil Middleditch's turn to make a change in heat 9, and taking the place of the number 4 Simon Walker is their free scoring, so far unbeaten number 6 and reserve rider, debut boy Antonio Lindback, who comes in to take the place of Simon Walker and pair up with Lukas DRYML. Exeter pairing, winner last time out, Mark Simmonds, their number 5, and his partner, the number 6, Krister MARSH. So can the young Swede maintain his unbeaten form? He certainly knows how to get out of the starting gate, and once again he's away from the tapes there. Lukas DRYML around the outside on the first bend to, whoa, just about having a knock on the start on the outside of the safety fence on turn 4, but it's Lindback on the inside line, and Lukas DRYML riding the wide line, and it looks like they're settling for a little bit of team riding. They're well ahead of Mark Simmonds, and a 5-1 more or less in the bag, I think. And this is really convincing stuff. You can see Lindback is certainly not out of his depth here. He's right alongside DRYML, who is an absolute flyer around the Wimborne Road circuit, and that equipment that Antonio is mounted on tonight, courtesy of Lee Adams. I would say if Lee was here himself, he wouldn't be pushing it much faster than this. And there you go then. That's another ride for Antonio, another unbeaten race, although this time he picks up his first bonus point. 11 paid 12 it is after 4 races, and a 5-1 to the Pirates, more importantly, who now lead by 32 points to 22. And a healthy holiday crowd here. It was a peak holiday season, end of July. Schools are broken up. Special concession for youngsters on admission tonight, and it's resulted in a very, very good crowd here for this British League Cup match. Probably, I would say, probably the best crowd for any British League Cup match so far this season. As we move on to race 11 with Bjarne PEDERSEN and Antonio Lindback in red and blue, Roger Lobb and Scott Smith in yellow and green for the Pirates. And once again, Bjarne PEDERSEN out in front, but Unfortunately, Antonio Lindback that time rearing, and well, he recovered remarkably quickly that time. In fact, he's gone right round the Falcons pair, having looked as if he was about to demolish part of the safety fence, and certainly getting plenty of traction out of the pits drive. He put that bike back down, and well, I don't know who is more shocked, his opposing riders or he himself. Certainly, for one moment there, it looked the identical situation to a couple of weeks ago when David Rood reared at that same position and clouted the safety fence and really did give himself quite a nasty knock, but not this time. So let's take stock of Heat 11. Pirates going to get a comfortable 5-1. Nice to see that Bjarne PEDERSEN's bike problems are well sorted, because he's way out in front. Antonio Lindback, he was certainly going to establish himself as a favourite here. I'm sure his heart was pounding there for a minute coming out of that turn 2, but he certainly recovered very quickly, and that 5-1 makes the interval score 40 points to the Pirates and 26 to Exeter. So interval over, Pirates 40 points to 26 to the good, and Neil Middleditch making another change in Heat 12. Lukas DRYML lines up in red on grid 1, but his partner will be Antonio Lindback, who comes in for Danny Warwick, out against Seemond STEPHENS and Krister MARSH. And once again, it's the two Pirates, this time with Antonio safely round that first bend without any of the heroics of his previous outing, when he looked as if he was going to take off. But he really is flying, and courtesy of that Lee Adams bike, which has served him so well all evening. And this time we're seeing Lukas DRYML taking the inside line and Antonio out in the dirt, and certainly interviewed in front of the grandstand during the half-time by Clive Fisher. Antonio saying maybe next season he'll be looking to race full-time in England. Well, I'm sure that if a vote was taken this evening, most of the Pirates fans would say they would have him for the rest of this season. I'm not sure exactly how that would be possible or not, but certainly that's I think that's his 6th ride and 6th race unbeaten on a Pirates debut. The way these points are being massed up, he's got another ride in Heat 14. He's going to probably be a biggest score of any rider making a debut for Poole Pirates. So 5-1 to Poole, 45 to 27 the scoreline as we complete 12 races. So in Heat 13, the Pirates took a comfortable 5-1 from Bjarne PEDERSEN and Craig Boyce ahead of Mark Simmonds to put them 50 points to 28 in the lead. And moving on to Heat 14, the penultimate race, we see a tactical substitute for Exeter, Roger Lobb, who comes in to take the place of the number 7, Karl MASON. He's paired with Lee Smithills, and it's that man again for the Pirates. Antonio Lindback already 16 and 2 bonus points, paid 18, so he could theoretically top 19 points if he wins this race. Surely a record for any rider making his debut in Britain, as the tapes are away. And once again, it's Lindback out in front, something that we're already used to seeing here at Wimborne Road this evening. Exeter take the minor places at this stage with Roger Lobb and Lee Smithills. So it looks as if this young Swede is going to finish on top of the score chart with an incredible 19 paid 21 from 7 rides. He's just got 2 laps to complete his 7th race in this British League Cup fixture. He's someone who's going to be making all the headlines in the local press and television tomorrow, as he scorches around this Wimborne Road track with a lap to go. The young Swedish rider, absolutely sensational debut here at Wimborne Road. I don't think any of the Poole Pirates riders can ever remember a time when a debut rider made such a big impact. 19 points with 2 bonus points, maximum 21 points from 7 rides for the young Swedish sensation. Surely it can't be too long before we see this rider once again in the Poole Pirates colours. So it's a 53-31 advantage to the Pirates after that sensational race there in Heat 14, which culminates Antonio Lindback's 19-point debut for Poole. For Poole in Heat 15, the nominated riders Craig Boyce in red and Lukas DRYML in blue on grids 2 and 4 respectively. And Exeter, having won the toss, selecting 1 and 3, go with Mark Simmonds in green on grid 1 and Seemond STEPHENS in yellow on grid 3. Final race of the evening then, Pirates well ahead, but still points to be ridden for as Lukas DRYML gets out in front, and he looks for Craig Boyce, and he finds him. Craig Boyce just taking a little bit of time there, but rides steadily round his 2 Exeter opponents on the first bend, and Lukas DRYML, the perfect team man that time, and he's tucking in once again for second place, although looking a little bit unsteady on turns 3 and 4. And Mark Simmonds getting quite close at hand, but Craig Boyce way out in front. Lukas DRYML tucked in second place is going to move the Pirates on to a 58-32 scoreline if they can keep this advantage for a further lap. One more lap of this British League Cup fixture, and the 2 nominated riders for Poole, Craig Boyce in the blue helmet, Lukas DRYML in the red helmet, will make it a maximum conclusion to this very entertaining fixture here at Wimborne Road. And as they cross the line, it leaves us with a scoreline of Poole 58 points, Exeter 32.
Well, there's our British League Cup team in action, and a fantastic 24-point victory here against the Exeter Falcons. That'll be useful to take with them on their travels. They are travelling this week in a extremely busy week for them, as they go to Somerset on Friday and to the county ground for the return match of this on Monday. Well, I'm sure that today we'll all remember the performance of Emilio Lindback. What a fantastic display that was. And remember, you saw it here first. We'll have to wait and see whether or not he'll become a Pirate fully fledged and full-time, perhaps in 2004. Meanwhile, as I say, the Pirates are now on their travels in British League Cup action. They'll be back here on Wednesday against Newport. We'll be there to cover it. But for now, it's time to go to one of our other features.